It's Corso and Catone. Brought to you by Corso Law Group, Arizona's leading criminal and traffic law firm. Now for the real deal New England feel, Corso and Catone.
Welcome into Corso and Catone, the real deal New England feel. I'm Corso. Catone is here. Joe's with us in the booth. You are watching us on YouTube. Hey, when you're on YouTube, make sure you subscribe, hit that like button. We got goals to meet, so make sure you subscribe, hit the like button, and check out our shorts. They seem to be very popular.
Yeah.
Mark, a lot of people comment on your voice.
Listen. That's been going on for years. All I want them to do, they can laugh at the voice. They can call me whatever they want. They just got to subscribe. They're going to hit like, but they got to subscribe. We need subscribers, right?
Do it.
This is a business.
And for those of you listening to us, you're doing it on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcast, and 790 The Score. And we want to hear from you in Heated Hotline, 855-313-PATS, P-A-T-S, message line. 24/7. Leave us a message. Anything's on the table. Let us know what you think, or you can email us in our mailbag, corso.catone@gmail.com. We got a busy one today. And Weekly Rewind, we're going to go and talk about, are the Patriots still a mess in this situation? We'll elaborate on that. And, of course, Yankees versus Red Sox. We'll talk about them. B's and C's now. They're out of the break. Let's talk about the final stretch. I know Mark's got a few little things to say about the Celtics, not too happy. And, of course, Catone's comments. Stick around for that. And we're going to hear from one of you in Heated Hotline. Hi, guys.
Hey,
what's going on?
Combine started, Mark.
Well, I was just going to say, at least this week, Chris, there's something for us to get a little excited about for football. I mean, we love the Combine.
Well, there's also some drama that we need to talk about with the Patriots that we thought everything was put to bed. Let's discuss it. We're going to do it in Weekly Rewind. We're going to do it now. Going back through the week, about a Weekly Rewind. Mark, who has the final say? Who has the final say for the New England Patriots? They're at the Combine this week, and so all the interviews are happening, all the press conferences, and Mike Vrabel spoke, and then Elliott Wolf spoke, and I don't feel too good after hearing both.
Oh, I do. I'm fine. I'm okay with it. Vrabel's got the final. Well, what else? What's Elliott Wolf going to say? I'm just here as a. What's he going to say? I'm here as a stooge. What's he going to say? He's got to say what he said. Vrabel's making the last call.
Let's hear what he said, Joe.
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't be here, and I wouldn't have wanted to be the head coach here if I wasn't comfortable in my impact on the roster. So we want to, continue to have great conversations with the personnel staff, with me, with Stretch, with coaching. We're all just trying to find ways to bring the right players in here.
I felt good after hearing that. That, of course, was Mike Vrabel at the Combine.
But Chris, he not only talks about himself, but he talks about the guys he brought in. His guys. He doesn't say. He said the personnel department. He doesn't say what. Now all of a sudden, his opening press conference, it was, Elliott this and Elliott that. He doesn't even mention them by name. He just says the personnel department, and then he mentions his guys. You know what I mean?
So that one happened first. So you heard from him first, okay? Yeah. And he was talking. Excuse me. Talking about that, and I wouldn't be here, and we all felt good hearing that. That's good. He's got the final say. Excellent. He's going to be the guy that deals with it, and so on and so forth. Then the next day, we hear from Elliott Wolf, and he says this.
The final say, you said it's a collaborative effort, but at the end, to me, what's the scenario this year? Is it still that way?
Yeah, it's similar. I would just say, listening to Coach Vrabel, there's not a lot of GMs or people in my position in this business that are going to force players on coaching staff. Certainly the best decisions are made together, and going to continue to work with Mike and Ryan and Stretch and the scouting staff, Richard Miller, everybody to make those decisions the best we can for the team.
Just to clarify, do you have final say on the 53-man roster?
Ultimately, it's my final say, but again, Mike said it yesterday. Mike wouldn't have taken this job. And this is something we talked about in the interview process. Mike wouldn't have taken this job if we weren't comfortable with each other. There's not going to be Mike's guys or Elliot's guys. They're going to be Patriot guys. And we're excited to share the vision, to work together to improve the roster.
Cap space this offseason. Do you expect to spend up to or close to up to the cap spot?
I think, again, I just think we're going to do what we have to do. I think it's probably not responsible to spend the whole thing. But again, that's not to say we won't do it if there's a player out there that or obviously players out there that can fill a role for us.
Listen, and that was cost Elliott Wolf. So after hearing that, I wasn't feeling so good anymore, and we'll get to the spending in a second. But here's my thing, okay? And this is all nice and it's fun and it's good for shows like we have here, right?
Yes, of course.
In reality, what people really do need to understand is it's not as simple as this is my pick, this is your pick, this is, we're in the draft room and now we have a couple of guys that we want, but Mike wants this guy and Elliot wants this guy, and how does it go? It's not really built that way. I mean,
No.
The way Belichick did it, it's throw that whole formula out there. That's a unique dinosaur. You can't, not dinosaur in the old sense, but it's just unique. It doesn't occur. What happens really is Vrabel's got a lot of responsibilities, got a lot of things to do, and everybody's relying on every department for something, and then you take all that information, you put it together, and collaboratively there's a guy, there's a decision. Obviously draft is a little more quicker pace than it's going to be with free agency, but taking it, because we have a show to do, right? So taking it for what we're saying right now, there's a couple of things I don't like what I'm hearing from Elliott Wolf. First of all, he looked like he was did you actually watch it?
I did.
I thought he was going to clap. He looked scared as hell being up there.
You didn't play the Batman, the Dark Knight comment. What the hell was that?
Yeah, the ultimate nerd.
Yeah, what was that? The Dark Knight.
Said something
talking about.
Yeah.
But oh my God.
Here's the problem I have with Elliott Wolf. Okay,
He says he's got the final say.
Yeah. Okay. So he says he's got the final say. Vrabel. I don't know if that went. Do you think it went across Vrabel's ass? Him saying that.
Oh, a little bit. Yeah, I'm sure it did.
It's a technical thing, saying like at the end of the day, by definition, his technical position has the final sign-off say.
That's not what he said, though.
No, but Joe, wait a minute now. I'm going to defend Joe, though, because he mentions his title, Chris. He does. He says, in this league, he said, the general manager is never going to pick somebody that the coach isn't comfortable with.
Or ram him down the throat, yeah.
Yeah, and you work together and blah, blah, blah. And, I have final say. And I'm just thinking, Chris, so if you're the GM and you don't have that authority anymore, well, then do you have to post for a GM? And go through that process, like what's his role then? If you're not going to be the general manager in the traditional official sense, then what the hell is your role on the team? Like, do you know what I mean? So I think he had to say that. Number one, to Joe's point, for the technical reason, but secondly, well, what the hell are you doing here then? Like, he's got to do something to save face.
Yeah, what you're saying is the crap. First of all, the disorganization of how the Crafts run their stuff. I look,
Chris, it's becoming so evident.
You're tomorrow on the Pats Nation. Tune in because we're going to talk about their grades that they got from the NFLPA's association. But anyway, what Mark's saying basically is this: if you're going to change the role of the GM, if you're going to change the role, that means you got to go through an interview process. You got to follow the Rooney Rule.
Rule,
right? And they skate that more than anybody else I've ever seen, and I can't understand why they have to do that, but they do it. I don't know if they're just arrogance, but That you may be right. He may have to get up there and say, it's my say, because if he doesn't say that and it's somebody else's, we're in violation of some sort of rule and now we're screwed. So yeah, that could be a reason he's up there saying that.
Could be a factor.
Or is it the type of thing where when you look at the tree and you look at Kraft, and instead of you have two different offshoots of that, meaning, is Elliott Wolf reporting to Kraft and is Mike Vrabel reporting to Kraft? Because if that's the case, this is a problem. It's going to be a problem.
Well, I think, Chris, you're probably right in saying that. I don't think Vrabel's not reporting to Elliott Wolf. That's for damn sure. So he probably is reporting to the Krafts. And Elliott Wolf is probably reporting to the Krafts. Elliott Wolf there is nobody above Wolf. So it's not like Elliott Wolf's reporting to like a president, a team president or something like he reports to the Krafts.
Right.
He's not reporting to Vrabel, and Vrabel's certainly not reporting to Wolf. So yeah, you're right, Chris. They do. I believe in that tree, they're both probably reporting to Kraft. And maybe he's Kraft's eyes and ears. I don't know. But I am going to say this. I think the Krafts, Chris, I think they have a lot of faith and trust in Vrabel. Because if Vrabel wasn't on the market, I truly believe they would have gave Mayo another year, Chris. I think the only reason they pulled that trigger so quickly was because it was Vrabel. And yet, you know what? This is the guy we probably would have taken anyway. We're going to go get him now before we lose him. And, you know what I mean? I don't think they would have pulled the trigger to hire anybody else.
The problem that we all have, okay, is we have a problem with Elliott Wolf. This is it. We don't think Elliott Wolf can do his friggin' job. We don't think he's good at his job. We don't think he could do his job. And that's the problem we have with this. Otherwise, if it were Cowden and Elliott Wolf had gotten fired, we'd have no problem with that line down. Vrabel to Cowden, Cowden to Kraft. We would not have an issue with that. But because it's Elliott Wolf and because of the crappy track record, that's the issue we had. Now, Mark, as it relates to spending, okay? We heard from Elliott
So wait a minute,
Wolf.
before we get to spending, who do you think has the final say?
Well, listen, I can't imagine.
They both contradicted each other.
I can't imagine a scenario where that little weaselly who's sitting in front of he can't even stand in front of the press, Mark. And that's the other issue that I have. What happens when he's when he's negotiating with other GMs? They're going to kick him around. Imagine him negotiating with an agent, talking like that. Now, maybe off camera, he's different, but maybe he doesn't seem to be commanding a room.
No.
You know? But no, let's talk about the spend. I mean, no, I don't know. I mean, I think it's going to be Vrabel. I mean, I think ultimately it will be Vrabel.
Yeah, I do too.
You know, I think Vrabel's basically telling him, this is what I want. Go get that for me.
Yep.
And then, they review it. But we're talking about spending. We heard from Elliott Wolf, and I didn't have a great feeling about spend once after hearing from him, because he said, we already heard it, he said, well, they're not going to spend just to spend. I mean, I don't see us spending the whole cap. And then Mike Vrabel, you hear from him, and this is what he had to say.
I mean, I'm sure, I like to shop like everybody else. And so when you go and there's only one of, a certain car, maybe you have to pay a little bit more for that one car because there's only one of them. When you start to get into a range where you feel like there's an area where players are comparable and you like 3 or 4 players in a certain area for a certain role, you may not have to overspend. But it's free agency. I think that everybody overspends sometimes in free agency.
Yeah. You know what he's saying right there, Mike Vrabel? We suck, and we're going to have to overspend.
He is, Chris, but I also think he's telling you, but temper it, because we might only spend on one position, maybe Ronnie Stanley, and then after that, we'll take, maybe we'll take B-level guys that aren't as expensive, but we're going to have to probably overspend for him, and maybe, if a T. Higgins became available, which he isn't, I don't think he is. I think that's what he meant. Maybe we'll overpay for one guy, Chris, because, that's all. You need it. But because when he made the car analogy, I'm like, okay, so you'll overpay for Stanley, but then you're not breaking the bank after that.
Because I do think, and when we get into it tomorrow too, building from the inside out is where I think.
Well, that's what he wants to do. Yeah.
Yeah. And then tomorrow on the Pats Nation, we're going to talk about that. So what is the solution? I'm saying solutions. So we had a comment on one of our
Chris,
on one of our
earlier, though,
shorts.
too. Chris, earlier though, Chris,
Yeah.
if you remember when Kraft did an interview with Bedard, and he basically said to Bedard that we're cash the cap. Like, remember he made that comment about the spending and basically saying that over a 3-year period, we like to come out to zero, like we're not over.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which,
yeah. Well, listen, we had a comment on one of our shorts. A viewer said, instead of whining and crying and bitching, you and me, I'd like to hear solutions. What good is whining and crying? Because that's what the fans do, and we're a show for the fans. But if you want a solution,
but listen, we give a lot of solutions. What's he talking about?
Watch the whole damn show. But if you really want a solution to this, shit, can Elliott Wolf and promote Cowden and be done with it. And then you got a cohesive unit that's all working together that isn't – I'd rather have Cowden in the room than that,
I do think that'll happen year 2, Chris. I just don't think they could do it this year. I think year 2 they'll do that. I think, I wouldn't be surprised if Elliott Wolf gets phased out, maybe even over the summer. But I don't think they were going to buy everybody out. But I do think you'll see Wolf – I doubt you'll see Wolf at the Combine representing the Patriots next year, Chris. I bet you he's gone.
All right, we got to go. So, Weekly Rewind was presented by Corso Law Group, corsolawgroup.com. Hey, we come back. We're going to talk Yankees versus Red Sox. No flipping.
No one ever thinks they will be in need of a criminal or traffic lawyer, but things happen. Corso Law Group is Arizona's leading criminal and traffic law firm. Their 20-plus years experience and attention to detail has helped thousands of people who found themselves in a situation in Arizona. Whether it's a traffic ticket or more serious issue, talk with these expert attorneys. CorsoLawGroup.com.
Back in with more Corso and Catone, the real deal New England feel. All right, Mark, let's talk Yankees and Red Sox. They're in spring training. Joe? Christ, it sounds like Godzilla's attacking Tokyo.
You really are 100. You really are 102
Those
years
are the
old.
best.
Tokyo, Godzilla attacking Tokyo.
I watched that last Sunday. I was watching the old, like a 1965 one where it's dubbed, into English. Oh, I love those.
When we were kids, remember they used to have the Creature double feature. They used to show those, right?
On Saturdays afternoons. Joe and I would go to our grandparents' house. We would watch those. Remember that show?
Creature double feature, then Kung Fu Theater.
Right.
Kung Fu Theater was the best.
Yeah.
The guy would say, "Come here," and the guy's mouth would go. It never matched, right? Remember Kung Fu Theater?
Those were fun. All right, Mark. So listen, I got a lot to talk about with the Red Sox. So I'm going to give you the Yankees, pal. They're a weekend now.
I think you're becoming a closet Red Sox fan.
I'm not a Red Sox fan. I'm a Red Sox critic.
Joe, I think he's becoming a closet Red Sox fan, Joe.
Sound like it.
You know what kind of blasphemous statement that is to make, jerk? So tell us about the Yankees this first week of the spring training. What do you see?
Well, Stanton came home to New York for testing. We talked about him last week. Well, he came home for testing.
Yeah, elbows.
So elbows. So that's a major problem because he's never going to be ready for opening day. That's for damn sure. So you can scratch him. So I know they were counting on him to provide some protection. So that's a problem, right?
Yep.
They're playing the kids, Chris. They're playing young kids, and they always do. I think they really want to put Chisholm, Jazz at second base.
Second base, and they should.
They should, right? They're trying guys out at third base. They tried out Parada the other day, Oswaldo Parada. They're trying guys out at third base, Chris. They played another young guy the other day because I think they want Chisholm, back at his natural position. He's a Gold Glove second baseman. I think it'll make the middle of that defense stronger if they can do that.
Who's going to play third?
Well, that's what I think. I think they're doing tryouts right now. So when you say spring training for the Yankees, Chris, spring training, there's a battle for third base because
They're trying to
they don't
find
have a
their
third
infield.
baseman. They're
Yeah.
going to try to solidify their infield. So for the Yankees, Chris, there is a battle at third base that's going to be interesting to watch. I don't know if Cabrera, one of them hit a home run today for the Yankees. So it's going to be interesting because everybody they put the third base is going to be a battle between the two guys. I think it's going to come down to Peralta and Cabrera, I think, at third base.
Mark, before
Volpe,
you go,
Chris, Volpe looks good in camp.
before you
He
go on
looks
to that,
bigger and stronger.
explain to everybody, because there's been a change, especially with the rule changes, no shifts, things like that. The importance of the importance of second base now. People used to look at second base like, just put somebody there.
No, with the shift.
But now it's so much more important than third base.
It is. I know you can't shift all the way over anymore, but the second baseman, Chris, because of what they do defensively now, has to cover ground.
Right.
So
it becomes a more important position than third, I think.
Absolutely it does. Positively. Because of the rule changes, you're right. It has become a much more important position. The middle of the infield, Chris, because of those shifts. Second base and shortstop have become the heart of your infield now, where, you always needed to have good corners, first base, third base. But the middle of that field, Chris, because of the rule changes, has become vital in playing defense for infields. And the Yankees really haven't had a solid defensive second baseman. Torres had stretches, but he always seemed to make an error, Chris, in a crucial situation, a big game. He'd bobble a ball. He'd make a throwing error. He cost them games all during the year. You know what I mean? You got
to bring back Willie Randolph.
No, yeah, right, Willie Randolph, right?
But
so yes, that's important, and that's why I think they want Chisholm to go back to second, Chris.
Well, because
Goldschmidt is a Gold Glove first baseman.
Yeah.
Volpe is really solid. He won a Gold Glove at short. He's a solid shortstop. Like third base.
I honestly think Chisholm's the best infielder you have.
Yeah. Although, Chris, like I said,
at this stage, I mean, I know what Goldschmidt has done in his past.
Goldschmidt is at the back end, but listen, take a look at Volpe. His body, Chris, he looks like he put on 5-10 pounds of muscle. This kid, I think, is going to have a breakout season, Chris. I really do. I think this is the year.
Last year.
Huh?
The season we hoped for last year.
Yes. I think you're going to see Volpe go to a next. I've watched about a half a dozen of his at-bats in spring training already. And I think he's going to take the jump, Chris, to that next level that, like you said, we thought we would see from him last year. Bellinger looks like he's going to be a solid player. You're going to get, if he stays healthy, Chris, you're going to get what you thought you were going to get out of him, I think. And it's still early for the rookie, Dominguez. It's still early yet to see what he can do. He's got a ton of strength if he makes contact. The pitching staff, Chris, they bring those guys along slowly. They're not going to rush those guys into innings and stuff. So a lot of the work that those guys do is on the side, in the bullpen, not necessarily in spring training games. I mean, they will get some innings as you get further into spring training. But right now, you're seeing a bunch of single A and double A guys that might be fighting for a back end of maybe an extra arm and a bullpen or something like that. You know what I mean?
It's a long spring.
It's long spring.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a far cry from when Knobloch used to throw. They used to throw him over at second. He couldn't throw the ball. So now it's become.
But Chris, when you think about the playoffs last year, and you think about that Cleveland series, why did we go to the World Series? Stanton Sosa.
Yeah.
Not Judge. Stanton Sosa got us by Cleveland into the World Series. There's no Sosa. Stanton's gonna start.
Stop calling him Sosa.
Sosa. Yeah, right. Soto. No Soto, Christian. No Stanton. You got a problem because you don't beat Cleveland without those guys.
Nope.
Neither one of them are going to be there. Well, obviously Soto's gone, but Stanton's not going to be there opening day either.
Puts a lot of pressure on guys like Dominguez. So we'll see what happens. And flipping to the other team now, the Red Sox. And again, we talked.
One quick thing, Chris. One quick thing before you switch. Facial hair. They did away with the fathers. They did away with the father's rule of no facial hair. I don't agree with it. I think it's a bad change. Listen, that's what made us different. We were the New York. Hey, we're the New York Yankees. You don't come here and grow one of those beards here. You want to do that? You go to some other
Yeah, like
franchise.
Johnny
We're the Yankees.
Damon, shave it.
Yeah, shave that thing, and he shaved it.
That's it.
I don't like.
I
the
agree
true
because you know what?
things.
You know why I agree? Because it sets a precedent for now other things, like
Yeah.
other things. Oh, what's the next thing that's going to happen? Oh, we want names on our jerseys.
Yeah, I don't like it. Don't like it.
Yeah. Well, you're a purist too.
Oh, absolutely.
So when it comes just for baseball, I don't think there's anything else pure about you otherwise. But anyway, talking about the Red Sox now. So looking at them over the first several games, and some of the things that I see here when I look at this is first looking at the Crochet. That's somebody who jumped off, in his first outing. I thought
he stays healthy, Chris. He's going to be.
If he stays healthy, but he looked good. He was right around 97 miles an hour at this point, which is, now it's different. I mean, these guys have been throwing. It's not like they just show up to spring and they have to start throwing off to the side. But he's already at 97. I like how he's splitting the plate. I like how he is against right-handers on the right side of the plate. I don't think this guy's stoppable. Like, I think he's one of these guys against right-handed hitters. But the problem with him is when you go to the left side of the plate, he's not as good. It's not as good. He's not as sharp. He's off the plate. His location and is not that great on that left side. So can he get away with it? Can he get away with it just onto the right? Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
But
listen, he's a big dude.
Yeah. But he had 4 Ks in an inning and a third in his first outing. Now he walked somebody on 4 straight pitches, but again, it's a good first outing. So that's one observation that I'm getting so far. So pay attention to that. One quick thing, Cassis, they had him play.
Love it. You loved it.
Well, they had him playing against Northeastern, which if you're playing against Northeastern, you either did something wrong or you're just, you're one of these players that's on the back end and you're trying to make the roster, something like that. I think it was a message from Core to basically say, you know what, you want to act like a child in the media, then go play with the kids. That was pretty interesting. I thought just to see that.
You loved it.
Oh yeah. Devers. Devers got bigger, Mark. He got bigger. He looked like he's in better shape. It seems. He's still under this impression and delusion that he's going to play third base. But then you see Bregman over there. Bregman's playing great. Bregman's playing third. In the first out, he was 3 for 3. I think he did another home run yesterday. He's going to kick it. He's the third baseman. I mean, Devers has not played third in a game yet. He's only been playing third in practices. So he's DH. Now they're going to have to let him play a little bit in spring because when Bregman's out, Devers is going to have to play.
Oh yeah, they're going to have to. That's going to get very interesting, Chris.
But this idea that Cassis had about Bregman playing second, he hasn't played second yet.
No,
so
listen, it's going to get very interesting, Chris, unless Cora can have a conversation behind closed doors with Devers and say, look, I mean, the fact that Bregman's going to probably be the opening day third baseman, how's that going to sit with Devers? Because at the end of that game, there's going to be 20 reporters with a microphone in his face saying, oh, you're not playing third base? And how does he react to that? You know what I mean?
Right. Well, he's going to have to react fine. I mean, you can't, Well, is he going to start demanding trades and all that other nonsense,
well,
Mark?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. It's going to be interesting to see how that unfolds. You know what I find funny, Chris?
Yeah.
Today, one of their top 3 prospects, they got 3 prospects, like real top 3 prospects. They got the kid Campbell.
Right.
They got the outfielder. I forget his name. I forget the outfielder's prospect's name. And they got the kid Maya. Those 3 guys.
They also got Roman Anthony.
Roman Anthony. That's the guy, the outfielder. It's Roman Anthony.
He's physically gotten bigger and.
Oh yeah, it's Anthony. It's Campbell, and it's Maya. Well, they put Mayer at third base today. He went 3 for 3 with a home run.
Yeah.
So was he ready to play? Like maybe you didn't even need to spend money on Bregman.
I don't know.
Maybe you come out. I'm just saying.
I don't know.
I'm just throwing it out there.
I don't know about that, Mark. But I will tell you about Anthony. You mentioned Roman Anthony. There's just something about him, though, that I don't know how to. I don't like how he moves. Like he moves very sloppily. Is that even a word? Like,
I don't know.
You know what I mean? Like he's just kind of boom, 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 boom. Like there's no fluidness to his movement out there. Like
Well, he's another guy, Chris. He's big.
So I don't know. I don't know. So
Both
teams.
Yeah, go ahead.
No.
You know what makes
Finish.
me laugh, Chris? I would tell you what makes me laugh. And I keep hopping
But
on
do
this.
it quickly, or else we gotta.
I keep hopping on this, and I'm always gonna hop on it. You mentioned Devers. He looks like I got bigger. Roman Anthony. He got bigger. Definitely got bigger. Chris, these guys just stopped playing baseball at the end of September, early October. October, November, December. How can you get that big in 3 months? Naturally going in a weight room and you're injecting yourself with some kind of growth hormone. But they don't want to put guys. They don't want to put guys like Clemens in the Hall of Fame.
Right.
But they're allowing these guys. These guys are all juiced up. You don't think they're doing supplemental juice? Come on.
You don't
get that big in 3 months. I'm sorry to tell Major League Baseball.
Yeah, here's the testing schedule, players. Here it is.
Of course. And they tell you the level you're going to be below.
Make sure you get off the stuff in time to be able to test right.
Oh my God, it pisses me off, Chris. It's such a fallacy and oh my God, they're hypocrites. They're such hypocrites. All these guys are juicing now, but they gave them the level you got to stay below before you get to spring training.
Yeah. So
all these guys put on 20 pounds over the winter. Come on.
Mark's up right. We gotta go. We gotta go. We gotta get the break.
Put on 20 pounds. We can't buy our pants.
The guy said all we do is bitch and whine. There it is.
I'm not bitching and whining. I'm telling them that they're allowing steroids. That's all. Well, it's not steroids anymore. It's human growth. Growth, not steroids.
Come on, get it right.
Growth.
Get it right. So we'll pay attention to these two teams as they go about spring training, and so stay tuned. Listen to that. But when we come back, we're going to talk B's and C's. No flipping.
Sundays are for football, and here in New England, that means it's the Pats Nation with Corso and Catone.
You have the worst wide receiver room in the National Football League.
This is why the Patriots need us in the draft room. Let's see what the Pats Nation thinks about that, Mark.
Starting June 30th, Sundays, 8 to 9 a.m. on 790 The Score.
Back in with more Corso and Catone, the real deal New England Philly. Yeah, make sure you're tuning into the Pats Nation tomorrow morning, 8 a.m., because we're going to have a lot to talk about with combine talk. We're going to have free agency talk, breaking down the interior line, which it looks like the Patriots want to do, and so much more about this little drama that's happening. But right now, we got to talk B's and we got to talk C's. Joe?
It is over. The Boston Celtics are the world champions, and they have shocked the world. How great a ball club they really are. Screen shot.
Okay, Mark. So both of them come out of break. They're back in for the second half of the season. Now, let's talk about the Bruins really quick, because the big thing is the trade deadline coming up on March 7th, I believe it is. Yeah. March 7th. And so are they buyers? Are they sellers? I certainly don't think they're buyers at this point.
No, they're not buyers.
And Sweeney basically all but said things that you don't hear a GM say for the Bruins ever, which is, we got to be cautious about how we're going to sell, at this point, or do nothing.
But Chris, here's the thing. In order to be sellers, somebody has to be a buyer. Who the hell wants the cast of garbage that they got on the ice right now? Yeah. Who are you going to trade that's going to contribute to somebody's stretch run? Maybe Pasternak, maybe, I don't know what. Marchand, can he help somebody, a young team out because he's a veteran? I don't know. But who the hell in that roster do you want?
Maybe even Swayman. I don't know. But
maybe Swayman, maybe Swayman.
But we heard from Sweeney this week, Joe.
Well, I think historically we've been pretty aggressive. When our team's been in a position, I think we'll take a much more cautious approach as we approach the deadline. That being said, if there are opportunities to improve our team now and certainly moving forward, whether that's positional shifts for other teams are trying to identify that we may have a strength at, we will look at all opportunities to improve our team now, but more importantly, moving forward.
Yeah, the translation, that was Don Sweeney, GM, the Bruins. translation, we suck. And
if we can make a trade that'll help us for the future, we'll do it.
right.
But
We're not bringing anybody in now.
No. Because he even mentions the fact, we've been aggressive when we've been in position, but we're not in position this year to do anything.
Mark, you can't add to a team. You cannot add to a team that playing against Toronto this week. You had a 3-0 lead in that game. You blew that lead. Then you go up 4-3 and you blow that lead too, and then you lose in overtime. I think it was overtime. You lost that game. They're not good. Not good. And so maybe Swayman's one of these guys. If I could find somebody that wants Swayman, I'll trade. But the problem is he makes too much money. And a lot of these other guys,
I was just going to say that
no trade clauses.
Nobody's taking that contract, Swayman's contract.
Right. The other guys have no trade clauses, exclusive things and all this other stuff where you can't move. You're kind of stuck.
Yeah, you are stuck. You're gonna have to. Like I said, maybe you shred some salary, Chris, moving forward. Maybe you get a couple of prospects, maybe, because I definitely think they need some prospects, some young guys moving. And he even said, somebody that can help us moving forward. And then I think it's pretty safe to say, Chris, that the coach, the coach is not going to be considered. I don't think that for the head coaching position moving forward. Do you think?
No, I think they're going to be looking somewhere else for the coach.
I would think so, yeah.
So, and then talking about the captain now. Is the captain going to be back? Isn't he? What's the team feel about him? We heard from Sweeney on that too, Joe.
That's always been my ultimate goal. We've been in negotiations with Brad and communicating with him throughout the year. We'll have to have a conversation now that Four Nations is over, and sit down with Brad and his representatives and have a clearer path in the next 2 weeks as to what his final outcome will be.
Yeah. So, okay. So it looks like the Bruins want him.
Is his contract up at the end of the year?
Yeah.
Or are they talking about just trading them? Or
no. I don't know if they're talking about trading. Maybe they're talking about trading them now. But is he going to have the future with the team? At this point, and is that going to happen? Well, Marchand spoke on that this week too, and this is what he said.
We're obviously in talks. I feel like I understand where I'm at personally, but again, that's going to stay between us. I've always planned on playing here my entire career. That hasn't changed. They're aware of that. I think everyone's aware of that. It's a gift to be playing for this team, and I take a tremendous amount of pride in it. That's always been the goal.
So, Mark, I'll give you the final word on this. So everybody seems to be there. Do we want him? Should he be back or not? Should they move on from him?
I would move on from him, Chris. But the issue is what are you going to get something in return? I mean, you're giving him up for nothing. That's my issue. We're going to give him up for, if you get a couple of prospects for him, yeah, I'd probably get rid of him, Chris. I think he was a good Bruin, but he's done now, Chris. You got to try. Listen, we're going to be rebuilding forever if we don't start to try to do something now with it, while you still got a little bit of juice in some of these guys to get something in return, Chris.
Well, the other thing too to look at with him, he after the season he's an unrestricted free agent. So
if somebody wants him, take him.
Yeah, because do we re-sign him? The leadership has been in question on this team too.
Yes.
So, you don't bench a captain for the Bruins.
Nope.
Never happened.
No.
So that's something to think about. No, I think it's time to move on. I think it's time to move on from a lot of guys. And now flipping over to the Celtics, Mark. I was going to speak glowingly about this team today. And then here they come. That game against Detroit. Porzingis looked bad in that game. He looked bad.
But Chris, second game
he didn't play the night before. Yeah, but he didn't play.
So he should have had some energy, right? He should have had some energy. But this team as a whole, Chris, when the second game of these back-to-backs, they haven't looked good all season. I mean, how is it possible that you're a professional athlete?
Yeah.
You play professional basketball. You're getting paid a ton of money. And you're going to tell me, Scal saying in the fourth quarter, yeah, they look a little winded. What? Because you played back-to-back nights? Are you kidding me? That's such a crock and such a cop-out, Chris, because it was a back-to-back game. Really?
We do back-to-back shows one day to the next. What the hell? We're ready to go. I don't understand. Get your ass on the court and play. Play basketball.
No, that's
Bird
amazing. That's amazing to me that's actually brought up.
It is. These are all built-in excuses for the athletes today. I mean, that's what you got. That's what you got. But my problem with him was he didn't play the night before, and the issue with Porzingis, he was late on everything. His defense was atrocious. His rim protection was horrible. He couldn't hit a bucket to save his life. And his interior post-game, he should have been all over that team. Mark, the big problem I have right now with this team is, and you saw it in against a couple of these teams, Detroit was buzzing around that court. Now, I get you're going to get everybody's best, okay? But have you noticed the trend that these teams that are blitzing them out, that are picking them up high on defense, okay, at half court and above the three-point stripe, when they're picking them up there and they're blitzing them and they're just all over the ball handler, they've found something. Teams have found something as to how to disrupt this offense. In their effort to take the 3-point away from the Celtics, they've discovered something, that the ball handling on this team isn't good, especially when you have it in Tatum and Brown's hands and they're handling it at the top of the key.
But
Chris, then the double comes and then they're screwed.
But Chris, when you have Holiday and White, that really shouldn't be an issue, Chris. Ball handling shouldn't be an issue when you get those two guys in your backcourt, but it is. And I'm going to tell you something, Chris. If a team like Detroit catches them in the playoffs, it's not going to be. I think the Celtics would beat them, but it's not going to be an easy series. You'll probably end up going like 6 games just because of the style that they play. And like you said, Chris, they're young enough where they're going to blitz you. They're going to show a ton of energy. And but the ball handling, you're right, Chris. And listen, the other issue when you say teams have figured out a way to pick them up high, blitz them, go out and play aggressive on the 3-point line. But Mazzulla doesn't adjust. He just does the same thing. Mazzulla don't make an adjustment, Chris.
Mark,
that's the larger issue. The larger issue is Mazzulla.
They had 19 turnovers, and the turnovers came because of the ball handling. There's no adjustment. They will not take the ball out of Brown and Tatum's hand. Okay, at the top of the key. They won't do it. And
you brought up Brown yesterday, Chris. He didn't play. So that
right. No, I get it. But in other games.
I know, but we do got to put that out there that Brown didn't play,
But again, they've got to get the ball in their point guard's hands, okay? Because you're not going to see a double come. So they got to get back to high pick and roll with Tatum and Brown not having the ball, and let them set the pick and roll off it and get the ball that way. You're not seeing those things anymore. And then the other problem, too, is, fine, you say, okay, they're blitzing the 3-pointers. I told you, these teams found it by accident, okay? Yeah. They're blitzing the 3-pointers. We have no inside game. There's no bigs. There's nobody posting. There's nobody playing in the paint. It's, Mark, this team is not going to get through the East. I'm telling you now.
You really don't think so?
No, I don't. No, I don't. I don't think they are.
All right, it's going to be interesting. Horford, Chris, looks old.
Yeah. I mean, we know that. I mean, if you're relying on him, you're going to have a problem. Yeah. You're going to have a problem. And Porzingis gets hurt, then we're really screwed. No,
you're really screwed.
So let's pay attention to all of that, everybody out there. Let us know what you think in Heated Hotline. But B's and C's was presented by Corso Law Group, corsolawgroup.com. And we come back. You ready to go?
I'm always ready. Why are you asking such a foolish question?
Catone's comments is next.
No one ever thinks they will be in need of a criminal or traffic lawyer, but things happen. Corso Law Group is Arizona's leading criminal and traffic law firm. Call or go online to corsolawgroup.com and talk with these expert attorneys who I know will help.
Time for Catone's comments!
So I know we've already talked about baseball. I get it. However, there's one thing we didn't discuss, and I was going to bring it up, and we didn't get a chance to because we were running against the clock. So I'm going to bring it up in Catone's comments because you called me a purist and a dinosaur in the past. I am a purist. I don't know if anyone has watched any of these spring training games, but they got this automatic balls and strikes this year. They're using in spring training. They're not going to use it in the regular season. They used it last year in the minor leagues. So this automatic balls and strikes, they call it the ABS system. I thought it was brakes. They said the ABS system. Remember back in the day, they had the ABS brakes in the car, Joe. I thought that's what they were talking about. That's what I thought they were talking about, the old ABS brakes.
Joe,
anyway,
he's lost his mind.
So now, so this automatic balls and strikes, what they do is they take the dimensions of the strike zone, okay, is determined by a batter's height at the top of the zone and at the bottom of the zone. So they take 53.5% of the player's height at the top of the zone, and they take 27% of the height of the player at the bottom of the zone. And that's how they determine the zone for each particular player. They took the measurements before spring training started. So each player has their own measurement in their own zone. Okay. So Judge, in this case, his zone would obviously, because he's so big and tall, is going to be different than somebody like Volpe if you're going to use the system. Now, how it works is, I believe you get like 2 challenges a game. So if it was being used in the regular season, I guess you have to be strategic, just like you are in the NFL when you draw the red flag, because when do you want to use that challenge? Because it could be in a key situation, with, bases loaded, a guy up like Judge. Do you use it because you can get him into maybe an 0-2 count instead of a 1-1 count or something like that? So you have to be strategic in the regular season if it moves that far. And I've seen it used in a couple of spring training games already. But I got a couple of issues with this system, that I'll get to. But last year in the minor leagues, a little more than half of the calls that they were challenged were overturned. I think came out like 51.5 or 51.8 of the challenges were successful. So a little more than half, but it still changed 50% of the calls, which is significant. Okay, especially for a batter, because as a batter, when you're up there mentally, okay, it's a 2-0 count. Now from when you were younger, playing, at high school and college or wherever, 2-0 count. Okay, what's he throwing? It becomes a mental game with where you are in regards to balls and strikes as the batter. But now all of a sudden, if you get your mindset, okay, 2-0, I'm ready. Here's what's coming, right? And now all of a sudden, they go to this challenge. Oh, nope, it's 1-1. Okay, now it's the batter. You got to readjust yourself and say, oh shit, now it's not 2-0, it's 1-1. It's not 3-1, it's 2-2. Okay, now the batter's going to mentally readjust to, okay, now what's he possibly throwing here? Because it's not a 3-1 count anymore. So like people don't think it's a big deal, but as a batter, it requires some quick recalculation. While you're sitting in the batter's box, you may see more guys step out as a result of that, just to regather your thoughts and say, okay, step out of the box. What's he going to throw? So that could, as much as you don't think it might, between the challenge, stepping out of the box, we've tried in baseball to speed up these games. You don't want to add time onto games now, because you're challenging balls and strikes too. So the length of the game, but there's also that human element, which I just explained about the batter and the pitcher and the chess match that goes on between a batter and a pitcher and an umpire. And listen, I like it when the guy turns and starts yelling at the umpire over a blown call and the umpire throws him out. That's baseball. That's baseball. Oh, you're going to go to some computer and let the computer make the decision. Let him throw the batter out because he's arguing. Let him kick stand on him. I like it. But who the hell watch all these computer-generated garbage? That's not baseball. You get the challenges on the base paths. That's fine. And that takes a little bit of time. And that's okay. But balls and strikes, listen, Jesus, these umpires do a good job. They might miss by a fraction on some calls. I mean, is that really costing a game? I've never seen it cost somebody a playoff game or a World Series game. I really have never seen it. I mean, and I guess maybe until it does, I'm not necessarily a fan of this. I mean, I'm a tradition guy, and I'm not going to change from that. When it comes to baseball, I'm a purist, and I like it. But there's also that mental element between the batter and the pitcher, where the batter would have to change, and even the pitcher has to change their approach on a dime because now that call got changed. And by the way, in order to challenge the call, it's got to come from the batter, catcher, pitcher. I do not believe it can come from the dugout. The dugout can signal. I'm sure they can make a signal to the catcher, challenge this, which I'm sure they are. But I don't think they have enough time to go to like the phone like they do for the bases, right? You can't say hold, which we're making the call. If you think the guy was safe on first base, you can't do that. It's got to be a quick challenge. So that's a little bit different than what they do with the bases. But Chris, leave it alone. I mean, we got to get that perfect now. Come on, leave it alone.
Says the guy that every time he's watching a friggin' game, a football game, you got to challenge that. You got to challenge that. They used to let him challenge that. They blew the goddamn call. I mean, freaking out, about the damn challenges.
Football's different, Chris.
Listen, you know what? Look, the Mr. Purist over here.
Two different
talking
sports.
about the mental part of the. Listen, I'll tell you what, baseball players. Why don't you calculate the damn thing as quick as you calculate your salary and how much you're putting in the account this week? Do it as quick as you do that, and then we'll be all set, Oh, I never heard of such a thing. These guys are making millions. They're pros. Calculate it then. Use your brain and calculate it. What the hell are you talking about? First of all, it only takes like not 30 seconds to do. See, I like it because it shames the umpires.
Oh, there's something wrong with you. It shames the umpires.
Shames them. You got to stand there in shame when everybody announces you made the wrong call. You stink. Here you go.
There's something wrong with you.
But listen, for me, I say you have a home plate umpire there for the calls on the base pads, but let the freaking computer call them all. If Waymo can put nobody behind the wheel of a car, okay, driving around people like you that are driving out there, like if you can have nobody in the car driving, you could certainly arrange, Major League Baseball can arrange to have just the balls and strikes called and it right every time. There'll be enough for them to fight about. There'll be enough for managers to get thrown out over. Don't worry.
Speaking of that, Chris, by the way, real quickly.
And then you could the manager could come over to the computer and start throwing it. Like if Lasorda was there, he would take the computer and throw it against the wall, throw it into the dugout.
Lasorda was the best. Billy Martin. Right? Lasorda was Billy Martin. Listen, real quick though, Chris. Speaking of this challenging, they're very close to taking football, Chris. No more chain gang unless it's going to be digitally done. They're really thinking about it. I guess because of that Kansas City football game, I don't have a problem with that. The only way they'd bring the guys back out on the field with the change, they'd still be on the field, but they won't use them, is if electronically there's a malfunction.
It goes down. So now, Joe, he wants that. Okay, but he doesn't want to take the umpire away.
There's a difference, Chris, between 350-pound guys and where the ball is spotted compared to a ball on a strike.
So you must have been really irritated in that 14-1 game on the last pitch of the game where they in the spring training where they called a strike because the umpire wanted to get the hell out of there, and the batter challenged it, and it took 8 minutes, and the game got extended. It was a 14-1 game.
Yeah, that's nonsense. Total nonsense.
So, we'll see. But they're not going to take it into the regular season, yeah?
No, it's not going to be in the regular season.
Yeah. So, hey, I like it. Technology. Put it on the field. Make it interesting. Who cares? But good stuff, Mark, you purist, you.
Only in baseball.
Catone's con. You're either a purist or you're not. What the hell are you talking about?
I'm a purist, but especially baseball.
Catone's comments was presented by the Pats Nation, Sundays, 8 a.m. Eastern. Make sure you tune in tomorrow. We're going to have free agency talk. We're going to have the state of the Patriots and who's the hierarchy, all kinds of things like that. Stick around. You're not going to want to miss that. But when we come back, hey, we're going to hear from one of you in the Nation and Heated Hotline. Stick around.
Sundays are for football. And here in New England, that means it's the Pats Nation with Corso and Catone.
You have the worst wide receiver room in the National Football League.
This is why the Patriots need us in the draft room. Let's see what the Pats Nation thinks about that, Mark.
Starting June 30th, Sundays, 8 to 9 a.m. on 790 The Score.
Back in with more Corso and Catone. All right, we're up against it. Heated Hotline. Joe?
This week's Heated Hotline comes from a write-in. Hi, guys. It's Tony from Providence. I am a lifelong...
That is actually probably how he sounds.
Probably.
I am totally disgusted with this team and this coach.
Wait, whose team? Which team? I missed it. Who?
Lifelong PC basketball fan.
Okay, got it. Yeah.
Come on, keep up. Will ya?
All right, sorry.
I'm totally disgusted with this team and this coach. I understand they have injuries, but Kim English can't make a coaching adjustment and can't evaluate the talent. His team is soft, and he ruined the top 25 program. Dump him now. I love the show, guys. You are the real deal.
Who's that from?
Tony from Providence.
Tony, thank you for the write-in. I defer to our Providence College alumnus, Mark Catone. Go.
Okay, Tony, listen.
He's just setting you off. Go.
Tony, listen, Tony. I agree with Tony. Tony, I agree with you, baby. Listen. First of all, Chris, every press conference this guy gives, he sounds like Gerard Mayo. Well, it's on me. He talks about the toughness of the team. He's talking about hustle, lack of effort. He's talking about spatial awareness on defense. Like, he's bringing up the same things. We didn't practice good enough. I knew we weren't going to have a good game. That's what he said before the Georgetown game. I knew we didn't. We didn't show it in practice. You're the goddamn coach. What do you mean you didn't show it in practice? Are you kidding me? Like, if you close your eyes, Chris, you would think you're listening to Mayo, some of Gerard Mayo's press conferences last year when he was with the Patriots. Like that's what this guy sounds like. Listen, couple of things. If you're telling me, he made a comment after the last game about, the older guys aren't bringing it and they're not showing consistent effort. And he played a walk-on. He brought a walk-on in off the bench the other day. If that's the case, then you've lost the room. If your older guys aren't giving the effort, you lost the room, pal. And if you lost the room, you're not getting the room back. Two things I want to highlight quick. I know we're against it. The Creighton game. They play Creighton at home in Providence. And Creighton is running the same play over and over and over. And they couldn't stop it. The center, Kalbrenner, is 7-1. I got it, right? And Ashworth, the point guard, the little guy, are running the same play. It's like a pick and a roll. But Ashworth throws the ball to Kalbrenner. Kalbrenner goes towards the basket before he throws it to him. Ashworth looks. As he throws it, the guy on him tries to double down on Kalbrenner. Ashworth just moves to the right. Kalbrenner gives it back to him. Bump, 3. Now, PC, rather than bringing in one of the wings, next time down the court, there's no double team on Kalbrenner. Whoop, dunk. Next time down, guy drops down. Whoop, 3 for Ashworth. Whoop, next time down, they don't do that. They let him roll, dunk. Kalbrenner had 30 and Ashworth had 30. I didn't know what I was watching. I was screaming at the top of my lungs. Like, you couldn't stop that as a head coach of a Division I Big East program? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I lost my mind. The Georgetown game, lack of effort, defense. It was disgusting, Chris. Listen, Tony's
Marquette, too.
Marquette, they lost by 30. He's talking about their
that question. Remember, I said, what is this guy saying in the press conferences? I'm glad Tony wrote in on this. What's this guy saying?
It's awful, Chris. Listen, I don't know if they'll dump him this year. They may give him one more year. He may have an excuse because of the injuries, and they probably gave him a 4-year contract. They won't have to buy him out of 2 years. They'll buy him out of 1. They're probably going to give him another year. He's not going to make it, Chris. He can't coach in the Big East. He's a way above himself. As far as talent, the guys he brought in from the portal, all garbage. They didn't turn out to be anything he thought they were going to be. This isn't the A-10. This is the Big East. PC has a problem, and we'll talk more about this next week because we'll preview the NCAA tournament coming up, but PC's got a problem.
All right, so Thank you, Tony, for the write-in. But Corso and Catone was presented by the Patch Nation, Sundays, 8 a.m. Eastern. Hey, make sure you get on tomorrow morning. Listen to everything to do with that. Come back next week, noon Eastern, Yankees, Red Sox. So much more. We are Corso and Catone, the real deal, New England feel. See you next Saturday.
Now find Corso and Catone on AM 790, The Score, iHeartRadio, iTunes, wherever you podcast. Or subscribe to the YouTube channel and catch the chaos every Saturday at noon.